Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to the second part of me talking about the cards in Dragons of Legends. Now in this video we're going to be talking about a bunch of other great cards that I feel like, aren't going to be the hot cards, but they're going to be a lot of cards that have a lot of great potential. If you actually haven't seen the first part of the video where I talk about the cards that you want to pull out of the booster packs and the cards that you're looking to trade your friends for, check that out in the link down below in the description box. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over a bunch of these cards because we got a lot to talk about. So first off, we got a trap card, Relay Soul, and it's a normal trap card that says special summon one monster from your hand. While it is face up on your side of the field, you take no damage. When it leaves the field, your opponent wins the duel. So I was really thinking that somehow you can make it so your opponent has Relay Soul. I mean, obviously you can give it to them with like exchange or something like that, but how do you make it so your opponent activates this card? Now I was trying to think of some other way where you can just, win the duel with this card simply by making it so your opponent has to use it. I couldn't think of any, but with the help of you guys, maybe we can figure out some combo to actually pull off Relay Soul. Now what's cool with this card though, not only, the win condition ability to somehow making your opponent activate it, but if you're really in that bad situation, special summoning one monster from your hand isn't that bad. I mean, there's really no restrictions on it other than the monster obviously has to be special summoned, being able to be special summoned by Relay Soul. You couldn't just be like, oh, special summon Judgment Dragon. That would be amazing if you could do that. And then I would main deck 3 Judgment Dragon and 3 Relay Soul just for the troll purposes of Judgment Dragon. But, I really feel like this card has some potential to, just OTK your opponent by the effect of Relay Soul. If you could somehow force them, like you need to swap them trap cards and they have to activate that card somehow. We'll have to figure it out. Next up we have Lionhearted Locomotive. I really feel like this card is just like a skill drain card, basically. When this card declares an attack, its attack becomes half its original attack until the end of damage step. Nonetheless, it's not a bad card because that only happens when it declares the attack, so it's got 2400 attack. Not bad at all, with skill drain, don't worry about that effect. Next up, we have Wiretap, and I really feel like this is a really good card, but it's not going to be too expensive. This card says when a trap card is activated, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck. I think that's pretty good because, a lot of players have been playing 7 Tools of the Bandit, which is a fantastic card because it's not like Trap Jammer where you can only activate it in certain times or something like that, or other cards that you have to like discard with. This is good. Very few things in Yu-Gi-Oh! Allow you to counter trap cards without some type of huge cost. 7 Tools has that 1000 life points cost, which isn't necessarily too big, but sometimes that 1000 life points can make the difference between winning and losing the game. And the thing I like about Wiretap is it potentially gives your opponent that dead card later on. Let's say they activate something like Torrential Tribute. Maybe they draw Torrential Tribute after you special summon all your monsters. At that point, hey, that's totally cool because you already have all your monsters on board. They're going to draw a dead card, so it's not only getting rid of Torrential Tribute, but it's going to put it back in their deck. They're going to draw Torrential Tribute after you've already established your board. So I think that this card has a lot of potential in the metagame, but nonetheless, I almost fit it into the other video, but I felt like, well, it's only a super, it's not going to be a very expensive card, and only certain decks will be playing Wiretap, but it's a very cool card. Next up, we have Berserker Soul. I feel like this is one of those cards where sometimes you could get sacked by it. This is the new, I don't know if I would call it the new Sixth Sense, because, not every deck can play it, but anyways, it's a quick play spell card that says, when a monster you control inflicts 1500 or less damage to your opponent by a direct attack, discard your entire hand, minimum 1, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it was a monster card, send it to the graveyard. And if you do that, inflict 500 damage to your opponent, then repeat this effect up to 7 more times. That's where you're like, what? Mind blown over there. Or until you excavate a non-monster card. If a non-monster card is excavated, place it on top of your deck. You can only activate 1 Berserker Soul per turn. So that has a lot of potential. So, we won't even count that 1500 less damage, and that could be potentially, because remember, it has its effect up to 7 more times, so that could mean a total of 8 maximum, which is 4000 points of damage. So that's a pretty sacky card. I don't know what deck could really make use of it, but I mean, if you're able to just go like Smashing Ground, attack, and then discard 1 card, you can, mill a bunch of cards, not to mention what happens if you mill. Well, actually, excavating you revealed, then it sends to the graveyard. I'm pretty sure with excavating, Wolf still works with that. So if you, maybe Diamond Dude Turbo with Wolf might work, but if you mill another Berserker Soul, then that's it. But nonetheless, it's a pretty sacky card, and I felt like, yeah, I might as well mention it because maybe someone can make a Berserker Soul deck and really upset some people. I was thinking Magical Merchant, maybe just 1 Berserker Soul, 1 Magical Merchant, and then just mill until you get that Berserker Soul, and then you just have all your Chaos monsters, and you just win from that effect. and obviously your monster's attacking as well. Next up we have Double Pass. I don't know if it's exact pronunciation, but anyways, it's a normal trap card that says when your opponent monster declares an attack on a face-up attack position monster you control, make your opponent's a direct attack. Instead inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the attack target you control. Also, that monster you control can attack your opponent directly during your next turn. So I was thinking Nurse Burn, because there's that other card where you can just you like check the extra deck and then you make your opponent take a bunch of burn damage. I felt like this card could be used in that. I mean, it's basically like more burn damage and you get to attack directly, so there's a lot of utility to that. But then again, when you're playing Burn, a lot of times your opponent will have dead Mirror Forces, dead D Prisons, and you know, you might just have your Nurse attack into a D Prison, which can cause you to lose the game. But if you know it gets that direct attack in, also you inflict damage already, that's a lot of potential extra damage for a Burn deck, and it keeps your monster alive too, so a little bit of potential there. Next up we have Ra's Disciple. So this card says, when this card is summoned, you can special summon up to 2 Ra's Disciples from your hand or deck. They can't be tributed except for the tribute summon of Obelisk the Tormentor, Cypher the Sky Dragon, or the Winged Dragon of Ra. You cannot special summon monsters except by the effect of Ra's Disciple. So I was thinking maybe during the end phase you could activate this, then you can get all of them. Now unfortunately it doesn't work from the graveyard, because I felt like if this card worked from the graveyard, this would be amazing, because you can just go Call the Haunted, bam, 3 monsters, then sack for one of the God cards. That would have been really cool, but I feel like this card has some potential. Now with the God cards you got to tribute 3. So that's a lot, and unfortunately that means you can basically just use it once. I mean, if like I said, it had that effect where if it was special summon from the graveyard, you know, then this card would be really good, and then a God deck might actually be viable. But there's actually another support card for the God cards, but it's also support for Malefics, and it's an insane card, Mound of the Bound Creator. This card is absolutely crazy. I felt like it was another card where I could have put it in that first part of the video, but I don't think it's going to be an expensive card, but it's really, really good. So it's a field spell that says level 10 or higher monsters on the field cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. And out there I'm like, well, are you serious? Can it get any better? And it says, if a level 10 or higher monster on the field destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, the player who controlled the destroyed monster takes 1,000 damage. And then it gets better. When this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 divine monster from your deck to your hand. So that means all the gods. The gods in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Are the divine ones. But I was like, are you serious? Because one thing that really sucked with the Malefics is if your opponent placed a field spell, you know, obviously during that like 0.01 seconds that the other field spell is gone, you lose your Malefic, which is really lame because there's technically still another field spell on there, but that's just how the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Works. But remember guys, in the OCG, they have that ruling where you can use 2 field spells, and I feel like, I don't understand why TCG have OCGs, they have different rulings. That's a video for another day, but I feel like eventually it's going to switch over because OCG is the rulings that we will be using in the world tournaments. We always go by the OCG ruling, so you know, I feel like this is really, really good. I mean, what do you do with a Malefic that can't be targeted or be destroyed by card effects? And on top of that, whenever it destroys a monster by battle, which it's gonna do, the player that controlled that monster takes another 1,000 damage. That monster has like 4,000 damage already. It's crazy, and I feel like maybe Malefics actually will have some huge potential to have you know, a mark on the metagame. Next up we have Black Sonic, which is actually a Blackwing card. I felt like, you know, for most people, Blackwings, they've seen their time. I mean, everyone's at least played Blackwings, and most players are just tired of the deck. I mean, everyone and their mom has played Blackwings at least once. But anyways, it's a really good card. But I didn't feel like it was going to be like an expensive card. It just says, when an opponent's monster declares an attack on a Blackwing monster you control, banish all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. If you control exactly 3 Blackwing monsters and no other monsters, you can activate this card from your hand. So it's a pretty decent card. There's also some other support for Blackwings, but for the most part, it's not very viable. There's a bunch of like tokens and stuff. I'm like, what the heck? Blackwings are all about tokens now? They have a level 1 tuner, and I was like, well, maybe you can pull out Quasar and Blackwings. I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. But I feel like Sylvans can probably do it much better, and obviously with that other support card, Plants, they can do it much easier. Next up we have Ayers Rock Sunrise, and it's like Monster Reborn for beast types, so it's pretty good. Target 1 beast type monster in graveyard, special summon that target, and if you do all face-up monsters your opponent controls, lose 200 attack for each beast, plant, and winged beast type monster currently in your graveyard until the end of this turn. You can only activate 1 per turn, so I don't know, maybe you want to play I think Sapphire Pegasus is just regular Beast. I know that there's Beast, there's Beast Warrior. I know Yu-Gi-Oh has to be as confusing as heck, but I remember Arcus Lightsworn Druid is like Beast Warrior. I mean, that guy is straight up like a human. Why is he part Beast? But anyways, this card is pretty good. Maybe you're playing X-Sabers. Hey, this is just a really decent card for a lot of other random things. Bujins, I don't remember if they're Beast Warrior or Beast. I'll actually have to look that up after. But for the most part, it's just a really good card, but I don't think it's going to be an expensive card. Next up, we have Flash Fusion. It's Fusion Quick Play, and it says Fusion summon one Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as Fusion materials, and you get to destroy it during the end phase. Now, I felt like this was all about like the mass heroes. Like you can attack and then Super Poly, then you know, activate another one of these. Like you can use this, you can use Super Poly and Mass Change. Like you'd use all the cards in your hand probably, but at that point, you probably have OTK'd your opponent, because what's a really nasty combo is Mass Hero Acid plus Absolute Zero. You're able to pop all your opponent's monsters and all of your opponent's back row, and then yeah, you're pretty much set to go. So I think this card is kind of cool for heroes. I don't know if it'll see any play. Next up, we have number C5, Chaos Chimera, and it actually is interesting because it's 3 or more level 6 monsters. Almost reminds me of the Hazy Flame archetype, but it gains 1,000 attack for each material attached to it. If this card attacks, at the end of damage step, you can detach one material from this card. This card can attack an opponent's monster again in a row. At the end of the battle phase, you can pay half your life points, then target 2 cards in any graveyard, place one of them on the top of the deck, and if you do, attach the other to this card as material. So that can really ruin some setups, but for the most part, I really feel like Hazy Flame, I mean, a lot of these XYZs that require 3, 4, like, they require so much. If your opponent activates a warning or like a compulse, that's a good game for you, because this card can't protect itself at all. If it was good like the Hazy Flames, it'd be like it can't be targeted, and that really does help out. But the last card, I felt like it was going to be real good, but then I read it, I was like, wait, which is going to be Magic Hand. It says when your opponent adds card or cards from their deck to their hand, except by drawing them, and also except during the damage step, you can send that card or cards to the graveyard, and if you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. This effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field, and I was like, no, Konami, why? Why? I was like, wait, this is a hand trap that stops people from adding cards, and I get to do bird damage? Oh man, this card's like the best card ever. Plus, it was dark. I got too excited. I really got super excited. Or I think it had to be banished or something like that. It would have been much better. But I was like, man, why couldn't it just be from the hand? What's the hell? I didn't actually check out the anime effect. When your opponent acts a spell card from their deck to their hand, you can destroy that card, and if you do, that would have been amazing if that was an effect that you can discard from your hand. At first, I thought it was a hand trap, but it has to be face up on the field, and I was like, no! I wanted to use Magic Hand to ruin spellbooks today, because nothing makes me more happy when spellbook player adds, like, seriously, like, 20 cards in one turn. They're like, okay, search, but then Stratos, no, Stratos banned. But anyways, guys, if you felt like I missed out on any other really really good cards that have some potential that we can mess around with, because a lot of these cards that we're talking about over here, like this card over here, like it's gonna be crazy. I feel like I'm gonna make some crazy decks with this, and I really want to figure out how I can make my opponent lose to my own Relay Soul by giving them this card or something like that. But if you guys know any combos with Relay Soul, hey, let me know. I wanna sack some people with Relay Soul for the troll purposes, or maybe probably end up losing losing the game because I activated Relay Soul and my opponent gets rid of that monster. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day, and good luck pulling some of those cards in the Dragons of Legends set, which is set to release on April 25th. But thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes signing out.